Well, alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to some more Gears 5. And today, it's a very special video. I might be thinking, well, hey, it's just another Gears 5 video. You've basically resorted to being comfortable making these. What makes today so special? I will tell you why, my friends. Very recently, I have finished reading One Piece. Yeah, reading, not watching, because I'm not sitting through 15 minutes of recap, 10 minutes of actual content, and another 10 minutes of intros and outros. No, I read and then finally caught up to the fabled One Piece. And boy, oh boy, do I have such admiration for it. I have completed One Piece. Well, not really completed. It's still ongoing, obviously. It's just on a month break right now. It returns July 24th, and oh, am I ready for that. But One Piece itself, the manga, it's, oh, if I could describe it, it's something that you actually have to experience for yourself, because I don't want to go into a full, totally not marked style rant of like what's so great about each and every arc, because if we did that, I would be here forever, and I do not have that kind of time right now. So I'm kind of just gonna do like a brief little overview of everything that I liked about the series and like my favorite arcs and stuff, because I did enjoy pretty much every single arc. The beginning ones were, yeah, they're a little slow to get into, but that's just because it's all setup and stuff. You got the recruitment of the Straw Hats, and oh, by the way, I probably am gonna put it in the title, but massive spoilers for pretty much all things One Piece. Hey, look at that, we won. So I first started my One Piece journey in like the beginning of the year. It was like, I think the second week of January, like January 10th or something. I thought, I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of bored, and I really want to watch something, but I don't know what to watch. I remember I was doing like the Cold War gun grind, like I was trying to unlock weapons and stuff. And then I thought, you know what, the last time I got to One Piece and tried watching it, it was way back, so well, why don't I try it again? And thus began a journey that would last 6 months. It was One Piece. So like I said, the first few arcs are kind of slow because it's just Luffy recruiting all the Straw Hats and stuff. But once you start getting into like the overarching, well, arcs like with Alabasta and Water 7 and Enies Lobbies, oh, it gets good. Enies Lobby and Water 7 are actually some of my favorite arcs because they just contain some of my favorite characters, mostly Nico Robin, and I'll get to my favorite characters in a bit. I'll be doing a little ranking of the Straw Hats probably towards the end of the video. Again, it's not going to be ultra in-depth. I'm just trying to let the world know that, hey, I've caught up to One Piece, and while it might not seem much to you, it certainly means a lot to me. 1,053 chapters is not easy to do at the time of recording. Yeah, 1,053. And I know there's people out there who are like, well, actually, One Piece isn't even the longest running manga. It's actually like Hajime no Ippo or some random anime like that. Well, that's cool. I'm mainly talking about like things that people know about. Who knows what this Hajime no Ippo guy is, right? Except for the people that know what it is. No, I'm talking about like something that everyone knows. And as far as I know, everyone knows One Piece is the longest running thing. So I mentioned Alabasta along with Water 7 and Enies Lobby. Alabasta is pretty cool because it introduces like the first like real threat that Luffy can't just punch. Because like in the world of Devil Fruit users in One Piece, there's like a lot of different types, I guess you could say. There's Zoan types, and then there's like some mean that you can like harness elements. Others are like you take like a form of like something else or what another. And when you get to Alabasta, you meet this guy named Crocodile. And now you might think, hey, the Crocodile is pretty threatening, right? Well, yeah, he's a dude with sand powers, and he can actually just like dry you up and like steal the liquids from your body. It's actually horrifying. And he becomes like the first enemy that the Straw Hats can't just like one hit KO. Like Luffy actually genuinely loses. He has to try to figure out how to beat him, taking, you know, like actually using his brain. Like he meets this guy and he's like, I know exactly the kind of water that you devil fruit users can use to attack each other. You know, you could use it to fight other Zoan types. And Luffy's like, oh, I bet, guy. So he uses that, and then Crocodile's like, oh, you can use that, huh? But what happens if you run out? And then like Luffy like runs out or something, and it's like, and then Luffy gets like the genius idea of like, you know what? If I don't got this water, then I'll just use my blood. And yeah, it's crazy, it's whack stuff, but it's cool too. He's like, wow, now that's thinking outside the box. And so Luffy uses his brain, absolutely just baits Crocodile, and everything's happy, right? Next arc? Yeah, next arc. We go to, well, probably one of the most forgettable arcs. You go to like Long Ring, Long Island. Everyone's super elongated. It's a really weird arc. I don't want to say I was a not fan of it. It was kind of cool. It was more Luffy kind of using his brain and stuff, but also a little more Deus Ex Machina-y, if that makes any sense. But that arc introduces us to like the Navy admirals and stuff, and from there they kind of tell us like, hey, this lady you picked up in Alabasta, Nico Robin, she ain't good, guy. She's gonna ruin your lives. And then Luffy's like, he's like, nah, man, it's not gonna work out exactly how you said it. In Water 7 and Enies Lobby, it kind of works out exactly how he said it. Nico Robin's like, yeah, that's not how it's gonna go, guy. I'm gonna betray you, but I'm actually doing it to save you. And then everyone's like, yo, it's okay, she can leave, she's doing it to save us. But then they're like, well, why exactly is she doing that? And then it cuts to a flashback of like one of the most like depressing stories in One Piece's backstories until you get to Trafalgar Law, but that's no, we can't talk about that. Yeah, that's too late. That's post time skip. We're not even done with Enies Lobby. Wait, Enies Lobby. We haven't even touched Skypiea. Oh wow, I get it now. So there's like a meme that Skypiea is like probably the worst arc in the series. And well, I don't want to say it's the worst. I do want to say it might be forgettable. And that's just because, well, it's Skypiea. Nothing really happens in Skypiea other than, well, them fighting a Thunder God Pokemon guy who looks like Eminem. That's pretty much it. I mean, it fleshes the world out. Like, you get a bunch of technologies and stuff that get introduced. And I'm gonna be honest when I say I don't ever see any of that technology again in the series. But I don't know. Maybe I just didn't read it through. It's my first read through. All right, I want to go back and like look at specific chapters, look at specific arcs, see what I missed. I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but I want to. I'm probably gonna speed run the entirety of the rest of like what I'm about to say, because it's so much information to actually go through the entire series. And if you actually want me to go like try to go in depth and do like these long video essays going over the arcs and stuff, let me know. I'll be happy to like write out a script, even though I said I was gonna do that with the JoJo, and here we are. No JoJo video in sight. So there might have to be a gigantic asterisk next to that, but I'm more than happy to talk about One Piece. Oh my god, I blew up. But yeah, they go to Enies Lobby, they save the day, they declare war on the world government, which I should probably put like an asterisk next to that, because if not, if like the YouTube algorithm is like, he said declare war on the world government, then I'm pretty sure like the CIA is gonna come barging into my door, and I don't want that. So for all intents and purposes, declaring war on the world government is a joke. It's from a Japanese cartoon where the main character is a rubber man. A green guy decides to be the world's greatest swordsman, and by green guy I mean green-haired guy. A cook doesn't fight women, and he just uses his feet. There's a greedy navigator, there's a reindeer dog, there's a cyborg, a demon child, and possibly the most metal character of all time, a fishman. Which seems really strange and kind of weird to hear out of context. I know my wife is probably like questioning everything that I'm talking about, but trust me, I'll get into the Fishman guy in a bit. Oh, I'm dead again. So yeah, everything about toppling the world government is from the show with the characters that I just mentioned. And so they do that, they declare war, and they're like, alright, let's knock out the main guy. And they knock out the main guy, and then they keep Nico Robin, and then she's like, cool. And then Usopp, who's their sniper, is like, can I stay? And they're like, no, because earlier he had left, right? And he's like, yeah, no, we don't keep the ship. We're not. I'm not doing this. And everyone's like, oh, but we have to get a new ship because they said this one's donkey. And then he's like, nah. So him and Luffy just duke it out and stuff. And then, oh, it's like one of the most emotional scenes in Water 7. And so after that, they go to like this Halloween Town type place called Thriller Bark. And then there's this giant monster guy who takes the souls, not the souls, he takes the shadows of people and he puts them into bodies, and then he takes Luffy's shadow and puts into like a giant, and then somehow the people whose souls he had taken before put a bunch of other souls into Luffy, and they kind of Deus Ex Machina make Luffy like this ultimate warrior, and he's blue for some reason. And then with the power of friendship, they demolish the giant, and then Luffy gets his shadow back, everyone else gets their shadow back. They meet a guy named Brook. He's pretty cool. He's a musician, and he makes a lot of dead-based jokes. It's actually kind of funny. But then when they're doing that, one of like the more iconic scenes happens, and then this giant bear Jesus priest man comes out, and he's like, I'm actually gonna like murk the floor with you, but I'll give you guys a chance to like surrender. And they're like, no, please don't do that. And then Zoro comes out, and he's a swordsman, right? And he's like, hey, if I can't protect my captain, then what good am I? That's awesome, dude. So he does that, and then the big bear guy, his name is Kuma. He's like, you know what? I admire that. So here's what I'm gonna do. He takes all of the pain and suffering out of Luffy, and it's like represented in this gigantic paw bubble, and he's like, take a little taste. And he puts like a small bubble into Zoro, and Zoro like nearly dies, and he's like, I guess I'll die. And they shove the entire bubble into, and then Sanji's like looking for, Sanji's the cook, by the way. He's looking for them, and he's like, hey, what happened over here? And Zoro's just standing there all bloodied, and he's like, nothing happened. Like those two words, just nothing happened. And the panel is him just bleeding and just like all roughed up. Like it's awesome. Then after that, they go to like this place named Sabaody. I don't know. I turns out I misspelled that name in my Shining Pearl Nuzlocke, so I went back and I put the actual name to it. It's Sabaody. It's S-A-B-A-O-D-Y instead of S-A-B-O-D-Y. I don't know how I didn't get that right the first time. Some kind of weird Mandela effect, I guess. But they go there, and there they meet Rayleigh, who's a former adventurer, I guess, if you could say that. He's a former pirate. There you go. I don't know what I'm talking about, bro. Pirates, Voyager. What's going on here? So Riley's like a former pirate of the king of the pirates, Gold U. Roger. I don't remember exactly what he was, but he was with them. He was with the main Bohunka. And he's like, hey, yo, you guys are kind of weak. And they're like, we know, but it's cool that you went with Gold Roger. And he's like, yeah, so I actually know where the One Piece is at. You guys want to know? And they're like, yo, that'd be so helpful. And immediately Luffy's like, don't you even dare tell me anything. Because, well, it's Luffy. Well, the point is to go and find it yourself. So Luffy's like, don't even tell me. I want to go and find everything myself. And everyone's like, but why? And he's like, she's like, trust me, I don't want to know. It's all me. It's going to be me. I'm going to be king of the pirates on my own. It's like, cool, that's admirable. And then remember that big guy Kuma? Yeah, he shows up and he's like, I found you guys. Real quick, tell me where all of you want to go. And it's like, what are you talking? And then he just Thanos snaps everybody out of existence. Like every single one of Luffy's members just despawn. And you're like, what happened? Turns out he shot everybody into like a place that they wanted to go, and we learn about where they went exactly in like, well, yeah, you see it in the manga. There's also like these one-shots that happen before a chapter, which also have more story in them. And then Luffy gets shot to like some women's only island where he meets Boa Hancock, who's like one of the warlords of the sea. And then she like falls in love with Luffy, which is the weirdest thing, but only after Luffy like does some weird stuff and, you know, fights people, and he's like, no, if you're gonna kill people, then kill me instead. And then she's like, honorable, I love this guy. And then she's like, hey, or no, Luffy's like, hey, I need to go to Impel Down, which is like this gigantic prison that like no one can escape from. And she's like, all right, cool, I'll sneak you in. And so she sneaks him in, and it's like, okay, who are we here for? And then Luffy's like, well, you see, I have to go back in time to Alabasta because that's when we met my brother Ace. And it's like, Luffy has a brother? And it's like, well, yes, but actually no, because you know, they were like friends as kids, and then there was this other dude, but we'll get to him in a bit. And then they're like, alright, cool, we'll go save Ace. And so they go in, and then you meet like everybody that's evil that they've met throughout the story in this prison. And then Luffy almost dies, but then he meets this drag queen lady who also knew Gold Roger, and it's like, what's going on here? And then they absolutely debate the prison. I'm starting to kind of condense everything a little more because there's, remember, I'm going through like thousands of chapters here. I have to condense I'm recording at 30 minutes. I don't know how long this is gonna be. I'm not even at the time skip yet. It is very hot in my recording corner, and I have not hit the time skip. So they absolutely demolish Impel Down, right? And then Luffy's like, well, where are they holding them now? And then they're like, oh, they're at the Marineford. And then it turns out that's like the Navy capital and everything. And they're like, oh, cool. I guess we'll just go there. But when they're down in the cells and stuff, they meet this guy, right? This guy, the homie. They meet former warlord of the sea, Jinbei. And this guy is the most metal character you will ever meet. And I'll get into it, alright? I'll get into what makes Jinbei one of the coolest characters in the show. But they meet him, and then they have to like devise a plan to get in there, because while they're about to execute Ace, they're like, hey, Captain Whitebeard here, who's one of the emperors of the sea, I'm just gonna crash this party and take my son back. And that sounds like a really strange sentence, because it is. So Whitebeard isn't actually Ace's dad. It's kind of like, Whitebeard's more so that really cool uncle that turns out isn't your uncle by blood, it's just like your dad's best friend. That's kind of who Whitebeard is to Ace. So they all call him like Pops and stuff. And so he comes back and he's like, I'm here for my family. And then everyone's like, oh my god, it's Whitebeard, everybody get your best fighters out. And like all of the warlords and everything are there. There's like 7 of them. People that you haven't met, people you just get introduced to. They're standing there and they're like, alright, it's about to go down. And then right as it's about to go down, as it's kind of been going down, Luffy's like, hey, it's your boy Skinny P. And he comes in, just wrecks the party, pretty much just stares at Whitebeard, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go save Ace. And then Whitebeard's like, huh, I like your style, dude, bet. So they save Ace, and it's like, oh, cool, Luffy did it. There's nothing he can't do. And by the way, during this entire time, in these like 100 and something chapters, there is literally no other Straw Hat. It's just Luffy. This is Luffy's arc. So all we see is just Monkey D. Luffy for like 80 chapters. And so it's like, he goes, he's like, I finally saved you, Ace. And Ace is like, I bet, let's go get some guys. And so they start fighting, and then in a twisted turn of events, yeah, sorry, but Ace kind of gets absolutely murked. And yeah, that doesn't do well for Luffy, because then he just kind of loses it. And so they take him away. Trafalgar Law takes him away. By the way, I cannot pronounce that name for the life of me. Trafalgar Law. So I'm just gonna call him Law from now on, like any normal person. We meet him in Sabaody actually. So Law comes, he saves him, and then Whitebeard's like, "Oh, I can't just finish this. Can't just leave now. He's Ace is kind of dead." So he kind of just starts murking everybody, and then this magma dude, as Suzuki. I don't really remember his name. There's a lot of S's in the name, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna die to you." So he just pretty much burns half of Whitebeard's face off. And I say that to say this, that the anime did that scene dirty, because in the manga, half of Whitebeard's face just gets burned off like magma. You know what happens in the anime? They just singe his beard off. Not his beard, his mustache, I'm sorry. He like doesn't even have a beard. Whitebeard takes a lot of damage. His face gets melted, and then he's pretty much dead, but he doesn't fall over. He stands there like the absolute unit that he is, and even everyone else comments is like, bro, he's so much of a man that he doesn't even die falling down. He literally just stood there. Post-war, Luffy recovers. He's like, "Oh, they killed Ace," and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, guy." And so he goes with Rayleigh. Yeah, remember him from Sabaody? Yeah, he goes with Rayleigh, and he's like, "I'm gonna teach you how to use Haki." And they're like, "What's Haki?" And he's like, "Haki's basically the Deus Ex Machina of fighting." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And so Luffy goes back to the Marineford base, and he's like, "Hey, yo, I'm gonna ring your bell, right? And this is a sign to all of my pirate crew guys. Don't show up in 3 days. Show up in 2 years." And they're like, "What?" And then that was pretty much just a sign of him being like, "Hey, we're kind of donkey. I need you all to just keep training and get stronger." And everyone's like, "All right, bet." So we got like this neat little montage of everybody where they're at and stuff. Just, you know, like Sanji's in like a drag queen heaven or something, and it's like the most horrifying thing for him. Usopp's in some plant place, and like he's fat. It's really weird. And with that, we get Luffy running off with Rayleigh to learn Haki, and then that's when the time skip happens. And post time skip, it's still filled with like a lot of story, but when you look at like the manga and stuff, a lot of them have like the arcs and the sagas over them, like volumes 80 something through volume 61 all the way to 90 have the subtitle of the New World, because they take place in the New World. And volumes 90 through, I can only assume, 100 are going to be all in Wano. And that's where I kind of don't like the New World saga, yeah, like anything post time skip, because they don't have that. Like Alabasta and all of that stuff, it had the Baroque Works, it had Water 7. They don't have that here. I would have at least appreciated if Dressrosa, one of the arcs in the New World, was at least labeled Dressrosa, because it's 10 volumes worth of content, and it all happens, can you believe it? It all happens in one day. That is like, what, 3-4 years worth of manga material that everyone was exposed to back then? All happening in one day? Are you serious? No, gamers, I would not be able to deal with that. And I can see why, you know, people hate that. It's a lot of time in one place. Now take it, the current arc, Wano, has also taken a while. It's still going as far as I know. I mean, sure, it's on break, but it's still going. And the difference here is that while, as I said, Dressrosa takes place in one day, Wano's spanning weeks. We're getting new places of the land of Wano, whereas in Dressrosa it's just, oh, Colosseum, go burr. And it wasn't even like a mini arc within the arc. It's just, this is Dressrosa. You know you're only here for Doflamingo and Gear 4, and I'm sitting there like reading, and I'm like, yeah, I'm only here for Doflamingo and Gear 4. But I mean, that's being too harsh, because Dressrosa was actually a pretty cool arc. It introduced some, like, there's like these little people dudes. They call them fairies, but they're called like Tatantas. They're kind of cool. I'm starting to go off the rails here because I've been talking about One Piece for like 40 minutes. But trust me when I say that it's a fun read. I don't know, man. My mind's melty. Also, it's really hot in my corner, like I said before. So I'm kind of gonna go into the later arcs, like just a little bit. So by that I mean Fishman Island. Not many people like it, but I think it's pretty cool because this is when Luffy goes and he's like, oh yeah, we're in the new world now, boys. We got the Thousand Sunny, which is their ship. I can't believe it took me this long to mention their ship. Originally the Merry Go / Going Merry, depending on what you're reading. Turning into the Thousand Sunny. Boy, where are my Thousand Sunny / Going Merry sticker peekers at? I swear they existed, but for some reason they have disappeared off the face of the earth. I want one for my Versa. That way when it dies, I can feel the sentimental value. So yeah, Fishman Island introduces like more warlords and stuff. We get the introduction of Big Mom, and boy, she's feisty. And the only reason that we kind of get introduced to Big Mom a little more is because Luffy kind of, in typical Luffy fashion, kind of ruins everything. Now, what do I say by that? Well, Big Mom is an Empress of the Sea that really likes candy and, you know, sweet stuff, or literally anything that she wants, she gets. So, can you imagine when, if you're like vibing and you're like, I'm expecting to get something, and someone else takes it? That's pretty much what happens. Luffy pretty much eats all of her candy, which the residents have been saving as tribute. Yeah, Luffy eats all that. So Big Mom doesn't like this, and then Luffy's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go and just kick your butt, verbatim. That's what he says. And she's like, alright, bet, get over here. And Luffy's like, alright, bet. But before that, they reunite with Jinbei, because Fishman Island, Jinbei's a fishman. Homeboy Jinbei, he's like, alright, what's up, Luffy? And Luffy's like, oh, what's up, bro? So when are you gonna join my crew? I've asked you like 8 times already. And Jinbei's like, yeah, bro, I'll join your crew. And Luffy's like, cool. And he's like, but not right now. And he's like, huh? But that's what you said last time. And we flash back to where they're in like Impelled Down is like, hey, you gonna join my crew? He's like, yeah, but not this time. And then finally they're in Fishman Island, you know, did the same thing, like I just said. I'll join your crew, just not this time. And so they go to Whole Cake Island. Actually, no, before they go to Whole Cake Island, there's those manga spreads that have like stories in them, and in those stories Jinbei's like living his best life. He's like, he's doing things, he's helping people, you know, typical Jinbei stuff. And then once we get to Whole Cake Island, actually before we get to Whole Cake Island, we go to like this elephant island named Zou. Very strange, I know, don't stay with me now. There's an elephant island named Zou, right? And then in this island there's these animal people called minxes. And they're kind of important because they help lead to Wano and stuff, along with some samurai dude. And then after that, we're like, oh, Sanji's been kidnapped. Like, Sanji's been kidnapped. Oh, good heavens, no, not best boy. So they're like, all right, where'd he go? Like Whole Cake. And then it's like, all right, let's go to Whole Cake Island. And then while we're there, it's like Sanji's like, oh, my family's here too. And they're like, oh, your family? And we get like a whole sad backstory about Sanji growing up and stuff. And they're like talking and stuff. They're like, hey, Sanji, so was this your family? And then Sanji's like, this is my family. And they all kind of suck. There's a scumbag dad, you know, he should have just gone to get the milk and never come back. But no, he came back, and he came back trying to produce weapons instead of actual children. And so Sanji kind of like resents his dad and stuff. Is like, oh, that's understandable. He tried to turn you all into weapons. And so like the entire arc follows kind of the premise of Sanji just, yeah, it's pretty much a Sanji story in Whole Cake Island, which is pretty cool, because before that Sanji was just kind of this perv, and well, the perv character kind of gets old really quick. So it was really cool to actually see Sanji not just doing pervy things. But one of the main things about that I was kind of alluding to like 30 minutes ago is when Jinbei comes in, because Jinbei turns out to be part of the Big Mom pirates. And so he goes and he's like, hey, Big Mom, so I gotta talk to you. And Big Mom's like, hey man, every time someone says that, they're kind of gonna die. because that means they're gonna leave. And Jinbei's like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I came here to talk to you about. And so he's like, I'm kind of gonna go with Straw Hat Luffy, and I'm gonna be part of his crew. And then Big Mom's like, no, you're not, because if you are, you're at least gonna leave here with some life lost. And so that leads me to Big Mom's devil fruit power, which is the soul fruit, which means that she pretty much takes the soul of anything and puts it into like literally anything. She has clouds, she has trees, she's had cupcakes, she's got donuts. She can do whatever she wants with it. Alright, it's her power. So that's what she does. She tells Jinbei, she's like, alright, you gotta pick something. And then Jinbei's like, alright, spin that wheel then. And so he spins the wheel, and then Big Mom's like, alright, cool, this is how much life is gonna be taken from you. You ready? And then like nothing. And then she's like, why isn't this working? You should be afraid. And Jinbei, bro, he drops the mic. He's like, you know what? The future helmsman of the King of the Pirates should not be afraid of someone like you. And it's like, bro, that's the most metal thing that has been dropped in this series. Followed only by the events that happened in Wano when they're like talking to Jinbei. And they're like, oh, well, if it isn't Jinbei, the former warlord of the sea. And he's like, hey, that's not who I am anymore. And they're like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. I prefer the more prestigious title as the helmsman of the Straw Hat crew. And it's like, bro, this guy is awesome. And so with that, I'm gonna stop because my voice is slowly going away, and I gotta still rank my Straw Hats. So remember, this is all opinion based. You can get mad in the comments, you can somewhat agree in the comments. I don't got time to go in depth with this. So here are my current rankings of the Straw Hats with no reason whatsoever. So I'm also excluding Luffy because if we had Luffy, he'd be number 1. So this is the list without Luffy. So at number 8, we got Chopper. Chopper's cool, but like he's not someone I'd be like, yeah, it's Chopper, which is kind of blasphemy in the One Piece community, but I don't care. After Chopper, we got Brook. He's kind of like Sanji, except Sanji does it better in terms of being like a pervy character. I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is he calls himself the Soul King, which is actually really cool. Like I said, he's like Sanji, but he's dead. After that, there's Franky. Franky's pretty cool. He's a cyborg robot guy. I can't believe it took this long for me to actually talk about him. But yeah, Franky's pretty awesome. He has a giant robot suit, and he fights dinosaurs in Wano. At number 5, I got Usopp. Usopp's not really my favorite, but he is pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of hard putting him all the way up here, but then I thought, what would the Straw Hats be without Usopp? Because Usopp's really, like, handy-ish. Like, he's got, like, a bunch of, like, unique battle tactics because he's just a normal dude. He doesn't have any devil fruit powers or anything. He's just Usopp. But he makes up with it with all of the stuff that he has, like, with his slingshot. Like, he's got a bunch of, like, really handy things in there, and that's kind of what puts him up there for me. Number 4, we got Nami. She's pretty chill. She's got one of the sadder backstories, and honestly, it's that backstory that kind of got me hooked on One Piece. Because, oh, Along Park is a pretty cool arc. Hey, look, I won! Cracking the top 3 here, I got Sanji. Yeah, he's the pervy character, but I mean, he sticks to this idea of like, hey, I'm not gonna ever do any harm to a woman because that's what scum do. And I'm like, good on you, mate. That's awesome. That's respectable. I just realized I don't have Zoro on this list. Zoro is Luffy's right-hand man, and I don't have him on this list. Alright, screw it. The new number 3 is Zoro. He's a cool swordsman. It turns out that he doesn't have any directions, even when he's on the list, so that's cool. Number 2, I got Robin, just because she's like one of my favorite characters. It was solidified in Enies Lobby, the most saddest backstory, I think, for the Straw Hats. And yeah, I really like her character. It's not anything else, I swear. I just really like Robin's character. Post time skip though, I don't know. I kind of prefer pre-time skip Robin, but that's just me. And number 1, Homeboy Jinbei. I'm just like, Hate me all you want. Get angry at me in the comments. If you even make it to this part, I don't know how far this is in the video. I don't know how far it's gonna be. I'm getting out my voice. This is the most talking I've done for a video, and it's not even scripted, as you can tell. But yeah, there it is. Of course, Luffy's the top because, come on, it ain't One Piece without Luffy. And that's pretty much One Piece. It's a horribly abridged version. Go watch a Grand Line review video if you actually want an in-depth look at One Piece, because this is just me spouting about a series that took me 6 months to finish, but I enjoyed mostly everything in those 6 months I spent reading this. It's there, you know, there's a lot of heart put into it. Oda knows what he's doing. I don't know. It's an experience that you have to have, no matter how many times I convince my wife, though I know she's never going to watch it, which pains me because I have no one to talk about it to. But yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to take a break, and come July 24th, when the next chapter of One Piece drops, who knows, maybe I'll start reviewing One Piece chapters. I probably won't, because that's a lot of work, but yeah. I'm going to go drink some water now, because my throat is really dry, and ingestion has been plaguing me throughout this entire video. It's almost been an hour. Yeah, I'm done here.